Hi there, welcome to episode 136 of the WaveBack Music Podcast. My name is Kris, and I'm joined by an unorganized ball of sorrow, Matt Ramo.
Hey!
And we're here to listen to the most interesting video game music there is. When the PlayStation came out, colorful mascots were still considered a big deal for any platform. Sony found theirs in the form of Crash Bandicoot, and even though he still isn't strictly associated with PlayStation, he'll always be their unofficial mascot in our hearts. Bash those boxes, because tonight we listen to the music of Crash Bandicoot for the Sony PlayStation.
What have I got?
What's up, you unorganized ball of sorrow? How you doing?
Oh, you know, unorganized and sorrowful. No.
Round.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, because I'm out of shape, even though round is a shape.
Round is a shape.
Yep.
And a darn fine one, if I do say so myself.
I agree. I'm good. How's everything?
Pretty good. It's a rainy day here in South Jersey.
In the northeast corridor of America?
Yes, indeed. How did you fare through the old hurricane last week?
Fine, honestly. I live in an apartment building. I live on the 5th floor. I live in an area that rarely sees kind of like, natural disasters. So there's always a part of me, and I say this and I recognize that I sound ridiculous. There's always a part of me that feels a little, like, guilty. Maybe it's like a facet of survivor's guilt, but I always feel guilty, like, when I end up watching the news and see, like, these poor people that are 4, 5, 6 feet of water, and people trapped in their cars, the highways are flooded. I feel terrible. And, because I'm just like, okay, some leaves fell down. The ground's wet. What an inconvenience to walking my dog. You know what I mean? But I truly feel bad, and, like, my heart always goes out to them. But I did, this is crazy. So I work at a racetrack. And Wednesday was the day that, Ida and all the, surrounding stuff was going to hit the area. And the whole morning, me and my coworkers are in a group chat. And the whole morning, me and my coworkers are in a group chat. We're talking like, they're going to cancel. And they didn't. And they had us come in. And we had like 4 people call out because they were like, I'm not getting stuck driving down there or whatever. And so we had like this ragtag team trying to put together a television show. And then, of course, like, 3 races in, they're like, well, we're going to cancel. And so I, as like the other co-workers of mine, thought that was grossly irresponsible. We have horses coming from all over the tri-state area to race at our track. And, nobody thought like, hey man, it's going to be, they all looked at the weather and they were like, it's sunny outside. We're going to run. It's fine. But then when there's rain on tape, coming in sideways, and we're like, this is ridiculous. And nobody thought like, these guys have to travel back, and so like we were very, very upset with the racing association that races at our place. So I don't know, to anyone affected, I hope it gets better soon. I got a few friends in New Orleans, so I'm really like, I'm not a praying man because I'm not a religious man, but my I don't know, my energy goes to you.
Yeah, there's been I had a couple of friends and family folks who got hit by it pretty hard, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm thankful that everything was okay here.
Yep.
And let's talk about Crash Bandicoot, huh?
Yes. What we came here for.
What we came here for, Matt. Hit me with them. Hit me.
Okay. I don't know what that is, but I'll do it.
Hit us with some history.
Sure. Crash Bandicoot was released on September 9th, 1996 in North America, and is celebrating its 25th anniversary as we record today. The game served as an impromptu answer to Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog and Nintendo Super Mario. It stars a Bandicoot in pants, running and jumping his way through platforming levels in an effort to stop the evil plans of Dr. Neo Cortex. The property was created by Naughty Dog, though it was eventually sold off and found its way into the hands of Universal, who promptly ran the series into the ground. A revitalization effort was recently made, though, in the form of a massively successful Crash Insane trilogy and a course-correcting sequel, Crash 4. Unfortunately, it seems Crash's current overlords, Activision, have all but killed the franchise off, once again in favor of putting all their development teams on the Call of Duty games.
Now, as I wrote this script yesterday, apparently they might do something for the anniversary today. There's some sort of possible tease that there will be something, because if anything, just to prove us wrong, there'll be some sort of
prove Kris and Matt wrong. Two
Exactly.
Guys who have no bearing on anything. They are vindictive.
Exactly. I know that this guy, anyway. The game's music was composed by Josh Mansell. He's composed for a number of films and TV series over the years, but his other video game credits include Interstate 82, the original Crash Bandicoot sequels, and the Jak and Daxter trilogy. So, Mr. Matt,
Yes, sir.
You actually have a bit of experience with this game, so I'll go first this time.
Ooh, what a twist.
I have almost no experience with Crash Bandicoot. I remember when it came out, I was like, okay, it's a platformer. And I looked at it at a friend's house. It was actually my girlfriend at the time. Her little brother was playing it, and he was like, this is so much better than Mario. And I looked at it and said, is it? So then I went to work at Funko Land and got a lot of the same things from lots of people. Oh, man, this is the Mario killer, man. This is so much better than Mario. And so I played it for about 14 seconds and said, no.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. So then I didn't touch it for decades. And then several months ago, I wound up picking up the Insane trilogy because it's a chunk of video game history that I have almost no history with. So I started playing the first Crash Bandicoot on the Insane trilogy. And, the first couple levels were fine. I was having some fun with it. It's all right. It's okay. Maybe I judged it a little bit harshly back in the old days, but, it's no Mario, but it's fine. It's perfectly pleasant. Until it wasn't. Then, a couple levels in, the level length was, 4 to 5 times longer than anything before it. The hit detection was complete BS. I just... Every ounce of fun that I was almost having with it was completely down the toilet.
That I was almost having with it. Oh, brilliant. Okay.
So, yeah, not a fan of the first Crash Bandicoot. I did like its personality, and the remake is very pretty. Even on Switch, it's a very nice-looking game. But I hear the second and third ones are way better, so I intend to give them a try at some point when I have, spare time.
He said knowingly.
But yes, that's my experience with Crash 1.
Okay. Now, I don't remember if I owned it or not. I don't think I did. I think I rented it several times from the local Blockbuster. You go down a Blockbuster and you look at the wall and you're just like, let's see what's in. And I feel like, I feel like I saw it and was like, eh. And then there was kind of nothing left and I was like, all right. But, I took it home and I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. I remember, let's see, it was 96, I said. I read it a second ago. I don't even remember. 96. So I was probably just starting to date my first girlfriend, and she didn't own a PlayStation, but I did, and she would hang out. We would hang out and we'd play it. So I'm sure she played it a bunch too. We just had fun playing it. I always thought it was just a fun game. What I liked about it really was it was the first time I had, so it's like this 3D, third person, move from south to north of the screen, theoretically, you know what I mean? Mm. And, there was one level that they inverted it, and now you couldn't see what was coming from in front of you, and I thought, this is the coolest thing ever. At 16, I was clearly very impressed by easy, small little nothings. But I remember having a lot of fun with it, and I thought, this is pretty cool. He wasn't, let's see, Conker's Bad Fur Day, right? As nostalgic as we can be for that game, I remember thinking, oh, F this guy, he's, I'll take that again. I really don't. So I remember thinking, wait. Something like Conker's Bad Fur Day, I remember thinking, this guy's such an edgelord or whatever. But there were parts of the game that I thought, meh. But, I thought this was kind of... And I realize what I'm saying is going to be really funny. I realize this is a more mature take on, something like Conker's Bad Fur Day in that genre of, playstyle and stuff. But I mean, I don't think I ever played like 2 and 3. If I did, I probably played 2 because I was like, oh, that first one was fun. After that, I never looked back on the Crash Bandicoot series. I did, it's funny, unofficial PlayStation mascot is kind of perfect because I always kind of got the inclination that Crash was the answer, was the Mario to the Sonic to the PlayStation, so...
Yeah, I mean, you remember those commercials with the guy in the Crash Bandicoot costume standing outside of Nintendo headquarters? Like,
oh my god, I totally forgot about those.
Honestly, that's the only reason I want Crash Bandicoot in Smash Brothers, just to kind of like make good on that commercial after all these years. But yeah, that was the thing, man. There's calling out, "Hey, plumber boy."
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
The WWE did something like that many, many years ago, but I digress. Anyway, yeah, I had a lot of fun with the series. I thought it was, a little mindless entertainment, honestly. It was still kind of, I think, in that period where they were transitioning from, some of the simpler games having just kind of beat the bad guy premises to, kind of stuff now where it's, a little more involving and so forth. So, yeah.
Well, all right then. That catches us up to now. To today, the anniversary of Crash Bandicoot. So let's listen to some music, huh? All right, so since I don't know much about this game...
Uh-oh. No, don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't throw it to me.
Oh, no.
Okay, good.
No, I'm not going to.
Because I have a terrible memory. I don't remember any of this. I'll listen to this like it's the first time.
Since I don't know a lot about this game, the way I chose tracks, well, first I asked everyone on Discord, and I got one answer, which was for the song Hog Wild, which was already on my list. And everything else, I just picked tracks that seemed like they would be important, so I didn't really listen to most of them. I was just kind of looking at it. Yeah, this seems like a level tune. It's about long enough to be something like that. So this is a pretty random selection of songs. I hope it does the game justice. It's, I'd say it's a little bit more than half the overall soundtrack. Seemed like a lot of drums as I was flipping through it, but let's give it a listen.
I kind of remember that.
So, we have no idea what we're in for. Let's start off with Map. Very aptly named song.
I wonder what it's about.
That's spelled backwards as Pam.
Oh, whoa, slow down. Hang on a second. I wasn't ready for that.
All right, let's give our first track to listen to. This is Map from Crash Bandicoot. That was Map. I recognize that one from when I was playing the new version. It's a catchy little tune.
Yeah, I think it's very indicative of kind of the whole soundtrack. Crash Bandicoot's got a fairly, at least the first game, can't speak to the others, has a fairly jungle kind of overall aesthetic. And I think that encapsulates that pretty much, soup to nuts, really.
Yeah, I like the kind of, let's say, it sounds kind of like an homage to Looney Tunes, the little kind of thing that's happening a couple times there. Like, okay, so you're in for something pretty zany here, which is
right.
Definitely what this game is, and definitely more than I thought it was. Because I remember, back in the old days, seeing those commercials and stuff, and thinking that this was going to be very Sonic the Hedgehog, but even more attitude, but kind of like more modern attitude. So like mean. And in fact, there doesn't seem to be any meanness in here. In fact, Crash Bandicoot seems like a pretty nice guy. So he's just kind of a goofball. So this definitely sets the stage, or at least we think it does. So I don't know what else to say about that. Let's see what else this thing has for us. Let's move on to track number 2, which we have listed here as Jungle Rollers. I remember this one too. I thought this was kind of neat. Earlier on in the game, you're running around and you got these big stones rolling back and forth that you're trying to dodge. It's kind of fun. So let's see what this sounds like. Here is Jungle Rollers. Enjoy. Okay, so I know we're only 2 tracks in, but so far the soundtrack to this is so shockingly similar to Donkey Kong 64. It's kind of blowing my mind. And Donkey Kong 64 was after this by a large margin. I think it was several years later. And I don't know that it's necessarily going to keep that feel, but right now, just those first 2 tracks gave me super Donkey Kong 64 vibes.
I can absolutely see that. I mean, that may or may not be the problem with having a game set kind of in the jungle. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you're not really thinking outside the box, and this isn't a knock to either gentleman who wrote the soundtracks, if you're not really thinking outside the box, I feel it's fairly commonplace to have, the tropes of the jungle in your soundtrack, because you want to, I don't want to say you, but the game director may want that, like I want a fully immersive package, So, I could totally see that. For me, this track is a little, cheesy. Like the drums are, of course, their drums are solid. There's not much happening there. They're using like xylophone and marimbas. I think we're going to see that. It's fairly common. I think for, again, jungle themes, whether it's a jungle level or a full game like a Donkey Kong Country. But the canned elephant and the canned monkey, like, they're hokey. It's goofy. But to your point earlier, it's kind of a silly game. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but again, it's not over the top like a Crash Bandicoot. And I know I say that like I hate them, but I don't. Yeah, it gives me goofy vibes. Like, this is certainly a game that's geared towards, 96, I was 16, 17, depending. It's definitely a game geared towards younger players, but, it was what they had on the shelf, so.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's it didn't really leave a huge impression on me. It seems very backgroundy, you know what I mean? And I think that's perfectly fine, right? It doesn't have to be something super catchy, but that's the kind of stuff that usually made me stick with platformers. And I kind of feel like if I had played this for 5 minutes back in the old days and I was really enthralled by the music, I would have liked the rest of it more.
Okay.
But I don't know. Let's see where we go.
Sure.
So the next one is called Bonus Round, parentheses, Tawna. I don't know what that means.
I don't...
Is Tawna a character? Is Tawna a place? Is Tawna a state of being?
Let's find out.
Well, I'm Tawna find out.
Ooh.
Here's... Woo, yeah. Almost pulled my back out stretching for that one. Here's Bonus Round. Enjoy. Well, there were certainly some interesting, instrument choices made with that song.
Yep, there certainly were.
I'm not sure that I would call them good instrument choices.
I didn't think you would.
There was aspects of the first couple of tracks that were reminding me very much of Secret of Monkey Island in like the instrumentation. Like this is early quote unquote CD quality sound going on right here. You know, this is being played by live instruments. And the first two were perfectly pleasant. This one was a little less so. I see what they were going for here with a bit of a, I guess, kind of a surf rock vibe. But I don't know that they accomplished what they were setting out to do.
Yeah, so I had to double check if Tawny was someone, and I think that it's Crash Bandicoot's girlfriend. And of course,
Oh, is that the girl that you're trying to save?
yeah. And of course, she's like some over-sexualized Bandicoot, in a crop top and Daisy Dukes, like you do.
Basically, Candy Kong, except in Bandicoot form.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Can't believe I'm about to say it. Probably more attractive. But anyway, but I digress. Guys, I want you to know I do this for you. I do this for the LOLs. I that's it. I only do it for you. And making Kris laugh. But anyway, that's being said, I appreciate when someone goes for surf rock, because I do really appreciate surf rock. I think it's a lot of fun. But it can get on my nerves quickly. Like, I can only listen to a couple of tracks here and there. Like when I used to have like an iPod, it would pop on. I'm like, oh yeah, great, okay. And then it would go on to something completely different. I'm like, all right, cool. But yeah, not a huge fan of this one, honestly. It again, they were trying for surf rock, and I don't know. I can't. I wasn't in the room. I can't speak to limitations, but it felt like there were some limitations that, by 1996's standards, I don't think should have been there. It definitely feels like this was made on. It was all made on a keyboard, which for 96 is actually really good. But I don't know. Doesn't hit.
Yeah, it wasn't a big hit for me either. Even the melody itself, instrument choices aside, just didn't really seem to have much in the way of personality. It just is what it is. Let's see if it gets better. This next one is called Boulder Dash, which I assume is the music from the level I used to see in the commercials and stuff, where you're running away from a giant boulder.
Yeah, one of the inverted levels.
Yeah, good times. Yep. So let's give it a go. Let's give it a roll.
See, what you should have said is, "Hey Matt, roll it."
Oh,
hey.
Yes,
I could be corny too.
I love corn.
I know.
All right, let's give it a listen. Here is Boulder Dash. Enjoy. Huh. Well, I mean, I like a good didgeridoo as much as the next guy.
And that next guy just happens to be me.
What did you think of this one?
I like the didgeridoo as much as the guy before me. It's interesting. I couldn't stop bopping my head. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because the track itself to me is very repetitive. Even though there was, an introduction of a couple different melodies, I just felt like they were a little too sparse. Not sparse. Sparse is not the word. They were... No, you know what? Maybe sparse is the word. They were sparse in their execution, because I feel like sometimes we've listened to things where, there'd be one or two melodies, and sometimes they're just made and they're so sweeping and they're so encompassing and they really grab your attention. This was, to me, a song that I think it encapsulates the level. This kind of driving, beat. The drum, the kick drum is certainly very driving. You put the other, the toms on top of it. It keeps it driving. They introduced that bass line. The bass line's so deep. Everything's so low. I just felt like then once the didgeridoo just comes out of nowhere. But but I feel like with the introduction of again, the marimbas or the xylophone, they just seem so... To me, they clash in a way that they're just so far apart in timbre that it almost doesn't do anything other than, like you said before, be background music. Which, again, that's what this is. But we've explored so many soundtracks together that some of this music isn't just background music. You know what I mean? Clearly, and if you're listening to the show, as well. So, it's background music. It's not terrible. There's just nothing remarkable about it.
Yeah, really, a few minutes in, the only thought that occurred to me was wow, this is still going, huh?
Right.
That's never really something you want.
Right.
But again, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, I must say that I was hoping for more than perfectly fine.
Sure.
So, but we've still got a bunch of tracks left. Let's see where things go. This next one's called Papu Papu.
Uh-oh.
So, hey, Papu Papu, right? But what could be bad? So let's give it a whirl. Let's see if it's Papu Poppin'.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, world.
Both Kris and I have had zero sleep, so.
Yeah. Enjoy. Well, I gotta say, at least that track was more interesting than what we listened to before.
I like that one a lot, actually.
Yeah, I was pretty into it.
There seemed to be some life to it. Maybe that's what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to articulate is, like, we've listened to soundtracks that are way more lively, both sonically and through composition. And this one feels like it's kind of flat, which is weird for me because it's like a 3D game. And I don't know, maybe it's all the years of gaming, maybe it's the film background, I don't know, maybe it's my live sound background. I want it to be fully immersive. Like, the sound, I get it, you know, soundtracks and sound in general on video games really gets, like, the crumbs of data, what's left on the disc. You know, I had a teacher in school who was like, you know, if any of you guys don't want to get into, you know, sound design and music production for video games, it's totally viable. You can make a career off of it. But you got to understand that you work in very, very tight constraints. You have only, you know, kilobits to create a whole soundtrack or, you know, a whole bevy of sound effects. So I understand. I'm not trying to come across harsh, but maybe I am to some. That's not the intention. So at any rate, this track is definitely more lively. I think it gels a lot better. As I said, with the Rolling Boulders track was kind of like, So I dig this one a lot.
Yeah, it was. It definitely had a bit more of a personality. This didn't seem, for what you were talking about with the space, that was kind of one of the big deals of PlayStation and CD-ROMs at the time. Like, you were no longer constrained to space. You know, you could make as high fidelity instruments as you want. Go nuts. It's CD quality sound. Go crazy. We got storage for days. And there's been a lot of PlayStation games that have done wonderful things with those soundtracks. And this one, I kind of feel like the music and the background music for this game thus far seems like an afterthought. Whereas most of the games that we've covered on this show before are games that have put music at the forefront of, like, no, this is very important. Like, yes, space constraints wise, you're only going to get this much space, but the strength of the compositions and the melodies and it doing more than simply being a musical backdrop is important. Mm-hmm. And I have not experienced that in this soundtrack so far. This is the closest I've come to that. Where they're like, okay, this is cool. I can remember this song. You know, there are things about this that I will think back on, and I can remember this song had a personality. Whereas the other ones have all been just kind of mushed together to me. So let's hope this is a big old upturn for what we're hearing going forward, huh?
Yeah.
So here's the one song we did get a request for. It's called Hog Wild, and I think I remember this stage where you jump on the warthog and you're riding around like crazy. So let's give it a listen. Here's Hog Wild. Enjoy. Hog Wild, and I rather enjoyed the composition. I have my questions about their instrument choices for some of it, or at least just the fidelity of them is kind of bothering me. But
Okay.
it's I really got to listen. I want to listen to the updated version of this song because this seems like a good composition that's really just being held back by some weird instruments.
Now,
I don't know.
before I go into mine, I have a question about the trilogy, the remake, whatever you want to call it. Did they redo the soundtrack, or is it just like they went back and remastered it?
You know what? I think they redid it because I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on real quick to give myself a quick listen. I just downloaded it while we were doing this because I'm gonna use the Insane Trilogy as background music while I'm for what we're doing here.
Sure.
So what did we just listen to?
Hog Wild.
Hog Wild. Oh yeah, no, this is totally re-recorded.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and this is great. Yeah, I'm 100% right. Okay, and I remember that because I played that stage. Yeah. I think what's holding me back on definitely what's holding me back on this one is the instrument choices, and it sounds wonderful in the new rendition. But yeah, it's this is a cool song. Definitely fits the frantic nature of this particular level.
100% agree. I like it. As far as the composition is concerned, I think it's a good composition. I definitely can understand what you're saying, where it suffers from just poor instrumentation or just low fidelity. And maybe even that could be a reason why some of the tracks we've listened to, I'm like, it sounds flat. It could be just a poor fidelity. But now I'm curious to go and listen to the Insane Trilogy version. Otherwise, I think this track's a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot of like the stuff you would hear, not necessarily in Looney Tunes, but like later cartoons. Like, I don't know, like it comes across like a rodeo song or something.
Yeah.
It's little Benny Hill, yakety sax. It harkens to a lot of other stuff we're familiar with, so it breeds that level of familiarity with the piece. So I like it.
Yeah, me too. Good fun track. Huzzah.
Oh boy.
All right, well, let's keep it going. Let's go to the temple ruins. Hopefully this does not ruin our experience. Yep, those crickets were well earned. Let's listen to temple ruins. Enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll start.
I feel absolutely nothing toward that song.
Really? Okay. I have a slightly different opinion. I actually really like it. The negative I have for it is that there comes a point for me, or I should say there came a point for me, at least twice or three times in the song where I was like, this part is still going on. And then it was as if I said that and someone heard me and was like, all right, introduce something new. And then something new would come along and I'm like, oh, I like this, okay. There's a part towards the end where they pick up the drumming and it has that kind of, 4 on the floor kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, this is good. They should do this more. But they don't. But they should. It's good. I like, what it is? I like a lot more of it than I don't like. I mean, it's a vast ratio. It's maybe like 10 to 1, maybe. What I like versus what I don't like. So good. I think it's good. I think it's a good one. This one I'd be curious to hear the remake of.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hate it. I felt nothing negative towards it. I just didn't feel anything positive towards it either. It was some sounds that happened and
in a melodic type fashion.
Indeed, they didn't really resonate with me. So I don't know.
There you go. Whatever.
This has been a weird one, man. Well, at least for me, this has been an unusual situation. But hey, let's keep going, huh?
Sure.
The next one's called Cortex Power.
I'm gonna assume that this has something to do with the villain.
It's got to, right? I mean, his name is Dr. Neo Cortex. Although there is another track coming up called Dr. Neo Cortex, so I don't know. Maybe this is just a song about his power.
Maybe the Dr. Neo Cortex is his jingle for his medical practice.
Oh, I sure hope so.
I hope so too.
Well, let's listen to Cortex Power. Enjoy. Okay, well, that was kind of neat.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought, we talk all the time how we're fans of bass and bass lines and stuff. I thought that was like a fun kind of villainous bass line. I feel like it's something I would have written, which is again not a knock to anyone. I'm not trying to diss someone's talent or anything. I just feel like it's something I would have been like noodling around and then found it and would be like, ooh, okay, and then kind of would have let it go. Like, all right, that was fun, but I don't see or hear anything for it, and just kept going. I liked the stabs. Bump, bump. That was fun. It gave it that again another level of kind of harmless villainy, if that makes sense. Like, it's a kid's game, or it's a young adult's game, whatever you want to call it, and it's not too threatening. Like, no one's really gonna get scared. They're gonna be like, oh, the villain's here somewhere, That's it.
Yeah, I think it's it seems to be, it seems like a factory kind of level or something like that. It's a
yes.
Had a good feel to it. It had a good feel, a little bit of just the right little bit of sneaky energy to it. I liked it.
I can definitely hear the factory vibe.
All right, we got 2 left. So this next one's called Toxic Waste. Will it be better than the Toxic Waste Caves song from Sonic Spinball? We'll find out right now. Enjoy. Okay, I kind of feel like this one is another one that really suffers hard for the instrument fidelity.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounded like a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, like Rockin' Racing, maybe.
And like not even in a good way. Like the Super Nintendo, you think about something like the Uniracer soundtrack. It makes a way more convincing electric guitar than this. This sounded bad, but the actual composition itself had me kind of like bopping a little bit. Okay, this is actually an interesting song.
Right.
This isn't bad at all, but yuck, man. These instruments. Yeah, exactly. We're talking PS1. That was the thing, man. This is supposed to be the audio is supposed to be such many light years ahead of what the N64 could pull off, and this track was a pretty big disappointment, but also a pretty nice little head bopper. I liked it.
Composition wise, definitely, and I think you and I can agree here that it has potential. Like, we can hear it. You know, like you said, it suffers from the poor instrumentation. Again, fidelity potentially being a huge key factor here too. I was bopping my head. I wanted to talk about this for the other track too. Those guitars crack me the hell up. Like, not necessarily like a mocking way, but kind of sort of mocking way. They're just funny to me because I've been a metalhead pretty much as long as I can remember, and there's such a vast variety of distortions that guys and girls play with, and I hear this and I'm kind of like, oh boy, did you get your first Boss distortion pedal? So anyway, that slander aside, I'd really like to hear this one updated. I think this could be another one that's surprisingly awesome with a new level of instrumentation and fidelity.
I can confirm that it is. I'm listening to it right now, and this is great. Yep. Yeah. All right.
Cool. Okay.
Okay. Our thoughts were well founded. Okay, that brings us to the last track of the episode. That is Dr. Neo Cortex, which I'm just assuming is his theme. And it's the longest track of the night. It's 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Woo!
Okay.
Hi.
All right.
All right, let's give it a listen, huh? Here's Dr. Neo Cortex. Enjoy. Okay, that was Dr. Neo Cortex. It was nice and sinister.
Yep.
It was pretty effective at what it did. Again, I'm really not feeling the low fidelity of these tracks, but taking that aside, just from we've gone from full on jungle to like very technological with a dash of surf rock going on. It's a really interesting kind of progression we've gone through here. It was kind of a neat tune.
I liked it. I thought the loops were a little too short, and therefore they become repetitive. I'll agree with everything you just said, though. A little surf rocky in there, that's nice, to kind of play sparse and give it that sinister feeling. And if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of the progression of the game. Like, your homeland is being threatened by this kind of evil factory, thingamajig, and you go out there and you bop it to death and you save the day. And I think as you progress, you end up going into a more factory-like setting. If I'm not mistaken, there's a part with flamethrowers and conveyor belts. Kind of see that in the back of my brain somewhere. But it's a good track. It's another one that I wouldn't mind checking out on the remake and seeing if it kind of pops a bit better. Because again, it suffers from a bit of low fidelity. I don't know that the instrumentation choice is terrible here. I think it's actually pretty good. But some of the patches are like, But either way, I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been an interesting little experience we've had here. Certainly didn't hate it, but it also didn't really change my mind on my overall feelings of Crash Bandicoot. So, it is what it is. It was certainly an interesting trek to take, and I don't know what else to say.
There's not much to say. If any, I'll say this. I feel like, as is with me and Kris, if any of this interested you, maybe perhaps go and check out the remake of the soundtrack. If you felt anything like we felt. So,
yeah, I can definitely confirm. As we were listening to this, I've poked into the Insane Trilogy soundtrack a few times and been like, oh, okay, so this isn't bad. It's just this is what this is. So, hooray for this music getting a remake that it deserves.
Yeah.
In the meantime, that's going to wrap things up for us today. You have any final thoughts, right? Anything?
No, I don't. That was my final thought.
There we go. All right, join us next time for more anniversary goodness as we celebrate the 35th anniversary of the arcade racing classic Outrun. Don't worry, folks, we're almost done with these anniversaries. The Outrun episode is going to be a little on the short side. There's not a ton of music in that game, but you know what? It's going to make up for it with quality. Anyway, we here at the WaveBack Podcast. The WaveBack Podcast are incredibly grateful to everyone who listens, and we love communicating with you when we can. We have a couple of ways you can do that. There's the Geekade Discord channel, in which we have a WaveBack chat where we frequently discuss all manner of stuff related to video game music and whatever our next episodes are going to be. We also have a WaveBack forum page on Facebook, which you can find by searching WaveBack on Facebook. Of course, you can always still send us an email at mail@geekade.com, and while you're at it, check out all our social media channels, which you should totally follow, like, and subscribe to if you haven't already. And be sure to check out all the other great content we have on our site over at geekade.com. Matt, do you want to plug anything?
No, I'm good. I think, no, that's a lie. The D&D still goes. We still live. They still live. I don't know how.
All right. Well, I'm just going to leave it here. We're going to go ahead and leave you tonight with the end credits music. I don't know. Have fun. Spin around and break a box or two.
Make sure they're not yours.
Indeed. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.